Hey, my name is Ben Harrison, and I've been working with Ben Price for the last 6 weeks now. Um, I think prior to starting with Ben, I was sort of doing okay. I felt like I was sort of doing fine, but I felt like I had quite a lot of untapped potential that I wasn't really utilizing. Um, I sort of felt like I was operating about 60%. I was sort of kind of okay, not super happy, not super productive, and I kind of felt like I was missing out on opportunities to kind of really maximize things that I was doing, both in my personal life and also with my business. Um, I think fundamentally I was just sort of feeling like I was sort of operating in kind of an unstructured, not super sort of self-conscious and self-aware way, and was kind of just going through the motions. I was sort of just tolerating, feeling okay, but not sort of the best that I could be. And I think eventually I just got to a point where, I was ready to make a change. And it was about 6 months into starting my business. Things were generally going pretty well, but I was sort of in a period of kind of reflection and just keen to explore opportunities to do more and to kind of be the best version of myself, really. Um, in terms of the actual work with Ben, so really the big things, there's kind of two main things, really. I think one is who Ben is as a person. I first met Ben at an event about 6 months ago, and then joined him at one of his camps about 3 months ago. And I think spending time with him, I think kind of opened my eyes a little bit, sort of helped me to kind of see where some of those opportunities were to do some self improvement and focus on myself. He's got a very sort of calming, supportive, but sort of quietly powerful aura about him, and I think that was something I felt like really drew me to him as an individual, and I think also something that I wanted to be able to kind of create for myself and to exhibit and to be able to kind of exude some of that energy myself, both in work and in my personal life as well. And then I think the other thing is really the structure and the process. So we had our breakthrough session about 4 weeks ago, and that was a sort of 3 to 4 hour session where we could really dig into where I currently was, where I wanted to be, where I felt some of the gaps or the challenges were in sort of my ways of thinking, my ways of being, some of the structures that were or weren't in place in my life, and some of the sort of opportunities to make some changes. The focus then is really about the next 90 days, so looking at the next 3 months and building a very structured, clear plan with some very actionable goals, and then having weekly check-ins to address where things are going super well, and being able to kind of recognize success and recognize success and sort of celebrate the wins, but also just to have somebody there to listen and to kind of bounce some ideas off when you feel like things are perhaps not going quite how you wanted them to, and get things back on track. And I think the change for me really is, I think very quickly you start to, I think, recognize the things that you're already doing really well and start to love and appreciate yourself in a way that I certainly didn't feel like I had done much of in the last few years. But also then start to see small but significant wins. And I think when you start winning, it sort of has a real snowball effect, and actually, you put in the right structures and the right ways of working and the right ways of being, actually things then start to align in kind of all areas of your life. You do a bit better in business, your health and fitness improves, your sleep improves, your relationships then start to improve. And I think that all kind of stemmed from that original that original kind of spark and onus to make some meaningful, structured change and to do it in a very deliberate and practical way. So I think, who am I now versus when I started? I think the big things really is, firstly, just being a lot more conscious and self-aware of who I'm being and some of the actions and habits I'm kind of engaging with, really. So, for example, as part of the coaching with Ben, I've kind of been on a bit of a sort of health and fitness journey. For things particularly like food and eating, I was sort of doing quite a lot of unconscious, thoughtless consumption. And I think now I have feeling a lot more in control, able to make better decisions. Things like cravings and stuff like that are kind of all really starting to disappear. And that has also then sort of translated to other parts of my life as well. So stress at work, challenging relationships, difficult conversations, that sense of inner power, inner control, thoughtfulness makes you a lot more comfortable and a lot better equipped to have those conversations, to engage in those difficult challenges and make things in your life, in your business, just better. Who would I say that coaching potentially is not for? Look, I think if you're not willing to put in the work and engage in the process, I think you just won't get what you want out of your time working with Ben or with anyone. Ben really is there to be a guide and kind of to sort of gently hold your hand and encourage you through the process. But ultimately, the work starts with you, and you have to kind of put in the hard graft and focus on your commitments. And one of the core values is about sort of radical responsibility and ownership. So you are in charge. You get the opportunity to make the change. You either choose to do it or not. But look, I would really highly recommend it to anybody. If you're at a point in your life where you have a good foundation, but you want to do more and go from 60 to 90 to 100%, I think make the decision, make the investment, and certainly from my perspective, it's paid dividends in a really big way across pretty much every aspect of my life, and I couldn't recommend it highly enough.